29-13. If you were looking at the score tickers in a London pub or a Vegas sportsbook, it looks like a routine bit of business. A comfortable 2-score margin for the Seattle Seahawks, a coronation for Kenneth Walker III. But for those of us who actually sat through the tension in Santa Clara, for the New England faithful who watched the mechanics of Super Bowl 60, that score is a convenient fiction. It was a night defined by what-ifs. What if the league's officiating standards actually applied to the New England Patriots? What if our franchise quarterback, Drake Maye, wasn't playing with a shoulder held together by a pregame numbing agent and sheer desperation? What if this is the opening salvo of an explosive new dynasty? Welcome back, New England. I'm Lauren, and this is the Granite Slate Sports Podcast. And today we're looking past the blue and green confetti. We're diving into the mysterious injury that hampered the AFC's leading passer, the tactical rigidity from Mike Vrabel that left points on the board, and the moment the most hated team in football was once again reminded that the rulebook is flexible when the Patriots are in the building. To understand the weight of this game, you have to understand how improbable it was that these two teams were even on the field at Levi's Stadium. For the Seattle Seahawks, the 2025 season was a masterclass in aggressive reconstruction. After trading away Geno Smith and parting with franchise pillars like DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, many expected a step back. Instead, Mike McDonald built the dark side. They marched to a 14-3 record and the NFC's top seed, fueled by Sam Darnold's career resurgence and Jackson Smith-Njigba's record-breaking 1,793-yard season. Their path through the playoffs was a statement of intent, a 41-6 dismantling of the 49ers, followed by a gritty NFC championship win over the Rams. They arrived in California as the favorites, backed by a defense that felt mathematically unsolvable. But the real story, the one the league's marketing departments tried to ignore, was the New England Patriots. This was a team coming off back-to-back 4-13 seasons. The post-Belichick era had been, frankly, a disaster until Mike Vrabel arrived. In just 1 year, the culture shifted. The Patriots didn't just win, they hunted. They finished 14-3, matching Seattle's record with Drake Maye leading the AFC in passing yards and touchdowns. Their road to Super Bowl 60 was paved with tough-as-nails victories. They went into Houston and silenced the Texans, then survived a slugfest against the Chargers in the divisional round. The crowning moment, however, was the AFC Championship against Denver. It was a victory that proved the Patriots were back, but it came at a staggering cost. It was in that game that Drake Maye's shoulder was compromised, a detail that would remain a closely guarded secret until the pre-game needles were prepared in the locker room at Santa Clara. The stage was set, the league's most dominant defense versus a storied franchise rising from the ashes of a rebuild, led by a quarterback playing through a nightmare. Drake Maye finished the night with 295 yards and 2 touchdowns. On a stat sheet, it looks like a gritty Super Bowl debut. But the eyes didn't match the numbers. Throughout the first 3 quarters, Maye looked fundamentally off. The timing was staggered. The deep balls, the very thing that pushed New England past Houston and Denver, was sailing high or falling short. We now know why. Reports from team insiders confirmed Maye received a pain-killing injection in his throwing shoulder just moments before kickoff. This wasn't a minor stinger from the AFC Championship. It was a debilitating injury that required total numbing just to get him on the field. Seattle's dark side defense smelled that blood. They hit Maye 11 times and sacked him 6 times, starting with Derek Hall's 10-yard statement sack on the very first drive. Maye was scrappy, even leading the team in rushing with 37 yards because his arms simply wouldn't do what he asked. But compared to the poised, turnover-free debuts of the Brady era, Maye's night was a chaotic struggle against his own biology. For 3 quarters, the Patriots' defense performed a miracle. They held Seattle's high-powered offense to 4 field goals. They stood firm in the red zone, forcing Jason Myers to kick from 33, 39, 41, and 41 yards. It was 12-0 heading into the 4th, and despite the offensive blackout, the Pats were 1 score away from a heist. Then the dam broke. Seattle finally found the end zone with an A.J. Barner reception to make it 19-0. The Pats answered a 35-yard strike to Mac Hollins to make it 19-7. There was belief. The 12s in the stands were loud, but the momentum was shifting. Until the 4th quarter backbreaker. Midway through the final frame, Maye went big play hunting. Under pressure from Devon Witherspoon, the ball fluttered. Julian Love snatched it. That was the moment the air left Levi's Stadium. It was punctuated shortly after when Uchenna Nwosu took another interception 45 yards to the house. 29-7. Game over. The dark side had its highlight reel, and New England had its heartbreak. We have to talk about the man on the headset. Mike Vrabel was the NFL's Coach of the Year for a reason. Taking a 4-13 team to the Super Bowl in year one is staggering, but in the biggest game of his life, his math failed him. When the score was 19-6, the decision was binary. You go for 2. You make it an 11-point game, a 2-possession struggle where a field goal actually helps you. Instead, Vrabel opted for the safe PAT to make it 19-7. It was a conservative, play-it-safe move in a game that demanded total aggression. It altered the mathematical path to a comeback, signaling a lack of faith in an offense that was finally finding a rhythm. For a coach known for his grit, it was a surprisingly timid moment that left fans and analysts like Bill Barnwell scratching their heads. And then there is the league. The deep state goons, as some might call them, the friction between Roger Goodell and the Kraft family isn't a secret, it's history. And that history manifested in a vicious fourth-quarter scuffle that went entirely unpunished. Seahawks DB Josh Jobe shoved Stephon Diggs out of bounds. Blatant, but then Jobe escalated, throwing a punch that made contact with Diggs right in front of an official. No flag, no penalty. Rules analyst Terry McCauley said it absolutely should have been penalized. But when you're the Patriots, the whistle stays in the pocket. It's a recurring theme: deflated football conspiracy theories, spy master fan fiction, and an officiating crew that suddenly goes blind when a Seahawk throws a punch. It didn't cost the Pats 16 points, but it confirmed the bias we've dealt with for decades. Despite the sting of being the first team to lose 6 Super Bowls, we have to look at the horizon. For 2 years in a row, this team was 4-13. We lost the greatest coach in history. We were adrift. In one rebuilding year, Mike Vrabel and Drake Maye took us to the precipice of a championship. The loss to Seattle is a bitter pill, but the fact that we were even there to lose is a victory in itself. This wasn't the end of a dynasty, it was the birth of a new one. Once Maye's shoulder heals and once the league finds a new team to hate, the Patriots will be back. I wanted this for the guys in that locker room more than anything. Maye told reporters after the game, visibly choked up at the podium. I wanted to stay in this system to keep building with Coach McDaniels and this group. The shoulder it's not an excuse. Seattle played a hell of a game, but it hurts because I know what we're capable of when we're 100%. It was a moment of raw vulnerability that defined the night. Despite the Witherspoon blueprint that stifled the offense, and despite the big play hunting that led to the interceptions, Maye's desire to remain in this system speaks volumes about the culture Vrabel has built in a single season. The scrappy quarterback who led the AFC in passing didn't just lose a game, he felt the weight of a city's expectations. That'll do it for today. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week to talk Bruins, Celtics, and more.